All right, welcome back. People always ask us, what does it cost to build our house? But more importantly, we haven't even started yet, and we've paid for a lot of stuff before we've ever built or started building the house. And Molly's going to bring us in on all those costs.
Yeah, because Jason knows absolutely nothing about this new build, which I think is actually a positive.
Well, absolutely nothing is...
Okay, he knows about the financial piece, but like we're going to move into that house and you're not going to have any clue what it's supposed to look like.
So Molly's got this whole list right here.
Yeah, I did an Instagram reel on this a couple months ago, and people were fascinated and had so many questions. So we thought we'd dive in a little bit further here just to kind of show you what goes into building a house before you even build. And the interesting thing is that I didn't even know we needed to do half of this stuff when we said, okay, let's build a new house. So it's kind of like comes as a gut punch. So that's why we're here to share this with you now, so that if you're thinking about building, at least you know what's coming your way.
Okay, day in and day out, we help people. We work with builders who build houses for our clients. We've worked with builders who build houses and we help them sell the houses. But I don't know a lot about what Molly's been working on. And so I'm going to find out a lot along with you guys. So I am nervous as all hell. Did I say hell?
Yeah.
I just did. I am super nervous to find out how much money we've already been spending.
Yeah, this is going to blow your mind. First and foremost, if you want to build a house, what do you need? Land.
And money.
Land and lots of money.
Yeah.
So the cost of land is obviously going to depend on where you live, how big the piece of land is. So that's kind of a moot point right now. So I don't even need to say what our land costs.
Well, I mean, it costs a lot, but I know like we were talking to your sister in Michigan, and land out in Michigan could be 30 or 40 grand, right?
Right. Out here, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Actually, today that piece of land would probably be $1 million.
Yeah, and that's just to acquire the land, usually with a house on it that you're going to tear down before you build the house.
Yeah, so the piece of land that we have does have an existing house on it, so that's another layer of costs that come with building. But just to start, the first thing you have to do, obviously, get land. Then, before an architect can even begin on your drawings, he needs 3 different things, he or she. The first thing is a land survey. So basically, this team of people is going to go out to your piece of land. They're going to measure and make sure your property lines are all accurate. They're going to plot out where all the trees are, with the grading of the land, the elevation of the land, and all. They're just going to basically...
What did the survey cost? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it was a little over $3,000.
And that's just for somebody to come out, measure your land that you already own, right?
Yep.
To tell you where you can kind of put the house and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay. The next piece is a geotech soil infiltration test.
Say it again.
Geotech soil infiltration test. So basically, someone needs to come out and test the soil so that they know what kind of foundation needs to be laid, what kind of sewer and drainage needs to be done. So they like dig these deep holes, pour a bunch of water in, and see how quickly it seeps into the earth. Seems like a really stupid reason to spend another $3,000.
What's it called again?
Geotech soil infiltration test.
She sells seashells for the seashore.
Yeah. And then the next piece before you pass it off to your architect is getting an arborist report. So basically someone who comes out and studies all the trees. They measure them. They measure the drip lines, which is like where the branches, how far the branches hang off. The health of the trees and whatnot, and that costs about $1,000.
So again, if you're building in Washington, we have trees everywhere. I can't believe that you can't see a tree in our house right now. So trees are everywhere, and the city and the county and the state's very protective of the trees.
Oh gosh, trees are like my biggest pain point in building this house. A few people had commented saying, well, I built a house and I didn't have to do any of those things. Well, here's the deal. If you build in a development with a builder, they have already done those 3 things for you before you even break ground. Because we are building a custom home where it's literally, we are hiring every single person to do it, we had to do these things ourselves.
So when we built this house, which
was in a development where it's like all the cookie cutter houses.
Right, so the developer already did all the 3 things that Molly already talked about.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so now...
So we're already into it for $1 million. No, how much are we into it?
Well, land plus $7,000.
Okay, that's before we do anything.
Yes.
Okay.
So now you go to your architect. Now this is where costs can vary greatly. Like when I was searching for architects, you can find some that are all in. They're with you from the start of the project all the way to the end. Or in our case, because I already had the house drawn, I did it myself. I knew exactly how I wanted it to look. I just needed to pass it off to an architect so that they could do it accurately with measurements and all of that kind of stuff, knowing how the land flows and whatnot, I found someone who could do it for a price per square foot.
So, being the dumb guy that I am, I do remember being a part of this conversation early on.
Okay.
And do you remember what somebody quoted us that very first time?
Yeah, it was a percentage of the build. So it was 20% of the build, which we could have then been paying this person several $100,000.
Not even several, more than several
Yeah.
hundred at the cost that it's going to build our house. So I know we're paying our architect, and we might have to go into the difference between an architect and a contractor, because I'm not sure if everybody knows the difference. But
Two very different people.
Two totally different people.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But our architect is, in general, how much?
Our cost for him is $16,000, and that is a steal. I'm telling you, a steal. I also got a discount on my price per square foot because my drawing was relatively accurate. If you come in with a napkin, which he says people do all the time, that takes a little bit more work. Do you remember, Jason, when I was like planning this house, I had like a ruler and I was like measuring things and getting everything to
you have no idea. She was hand drawing. Like most people would build it in a computer system so you could kind of tweak it when you wanted. Molly would take a month to hand draw it. Trash that one, redraw it.
Do a new one.
Trash it, redraw it.
But that ended up saving us money, so I'm glad I did that.
So if you do your research, what we're advising at least is you could pay $16,000, or the other bid could have been $300,000 or $400,000. It's dramatically different if you want to get down and dirty. Like that sounded weird, but if you want to get do something like Molly did and do the plans yourself.
There's also another great option that's super cost effective is you can buy floor plans that architects have already drawn up, and all they have to do is tweak it to fit your land. So that's another option for you. But at this point, we are in it. $7,000 for all that first stuff plus the $16,000, so we're in it for $23,000.
Yep.
We haven't even begun getting into the details.
Okay, so what's next?
The architect does the plans. Then he has to hand it off to a structural engineer. And this is the person who figures out all the wood beams and where they have to go and how they need to be placed.
So the first architect makes your house look pretty. This one makes sure it stands up.
Yes.
Okay.
And that costs about $5,000.
Okay.
All right.
I met that guy.
The structural
'Cause I had to
engineer.
pay him.
Yeah, we really liked him.
Yeah.
Then we have a civil engineer, and they handle the sewer lines going to the city. They handle the sidewalks, the driveway, anything that's really going to affect any city anybody going on the public property, the street, whatever. You know what I mean, right?
Do we?
I don't know. Okay.
So there's another engineer.
You need a civil engineer.
Okay,
and
there's
that
a
cost
third.
for us was about $4,000.
Okay, I'm not a mathematician, but
So 23 plus 9, so we're at $31,000.
Okay. So have some acorns stocked up for the winter.
Yeah. Okay. So we aren't even halfway into it. Okay. So because we have an existing structure on the property, we also need to do demolition. With demolition, you have to apply for the permit. Simply applying for that demo permit costs us $500.
Okay, that's not okay.
Okay.
I can deal with that.
Okay, that's then we have to work on taking down some of those trees. Taking down these big trees has cost us $7,000.
And we took down how many trees?
I included the third in there, so 3 trees.
Okay, so and this is something that you guys should know. Just because, and we're working through this with our contractor, who's kind of our quarterback in this process, is that he may or she may have somebody that says, "Hey, I've got a tree person for you to help cut them down." I would price those things out.
Oh gosh,
a little bit.
get a bid. I did 5 bids for tree removal.
And what
5.
what was the highest and lowest we probably took?
The lowest I took, the highest, it went up to $7,000 per tree.
So again, like if you do your own legwork,
If you do your research, you can get a better price.
so I mean, you're not talking a little price. It was either $7,000 total or $21,000 total.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference, obviously.
So, and with that, also with the demo, we had to do asbestos removal. You have to test for asbestos in the ceiling because it was popcorn ceiling. It's an older house. And then they had to do the asbestos demo, which costs another $7,000. But we also got 3 bids for this. The first bid came in at $15,000.
You're talking about
scrape the ceiling.
Yeah, and so not every, like I don't think in all areas of the U.S. they have popcorn ceilings or all areas of the world, but in the Northwest, this era house, 60s and 70s, they just sprayed this asbestos stuff, these popcorn looking things, and you can't just. This is what I thought. I'm like, it's just we're gonna demo the house.
This is like the biggest waste of money because you're just tearing down the house, but we had to spend $7,000 to scrape the ceilings before they demo the house.
Yeah.
So that's a big cost. Also, so asbestos abatement, you also have to do rodent abatement. So basically a company sets up some traps for critters just to make sure that they get them all off the property before we start developing it. And that cost was about $500.
Yeah.
For the trees that you are keeping, you have to put in protective tree fencing around those for the entire build so that any of the equipment doesn't ruin the roots or knock into the trees or anything like that.
We should show a picture of that because our backyard of this house that we're demolishing, right? Half the backyard is cut off by like a giant
chain link fence.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yep. So that cost for us is about $2,000. The actual demo of the house takes a day. It's super fast. That's going to cost us $25,000.
God, for one day? Like, how many people would love to work for one day and make $25,000? If you've got kids, tell them to become a demolition manager.
I know. So with the demo, they tear it down in a day, but then there's an additional cost to haul away all of the rubble. You also have to grade the land, so like you're evening out the land and pushing the dirt and whatnot. There's a few other specific things that go into it, but all in for that demo piece, it's about $40,000.
Yeah, and this is kind of jumping ahead, but like all the groundwork that we're into, do you know that number? Like all the stuff before you even put the walls up or the...
Right, so
what's the total cost of all this?
The last piece of this is your building permit, which this is like the craziest thing to me. To me, a building permit, you just apply for all of the things. It should cost maybe like $500 in admin fees, and then you move on. No. Here in our county, in our city, it's based on a percentage of your build. So simply to apply for the permit was $5,000 for us.
Kidding.
No, just to apply.
Come on, City of Kirkland.
And then when they issue the permit, which we're still waiting to do, it should be coming in the next couple weeks, hopefully. It's another large charge. I have no idea what it's going to be. My guess it's going to be around $20,000. So then we can start building. All this stuff has got into it and we don't even have a house to show for it. Rounding it out, not including the cost of land, we are in this project for over $125,000.
I mean, that is insane.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
You think about, like, there are places in the world, like, I had a client actually move into a town outside of Georgia, right? They were looking at houses a couple years ago. The house fully built, about 2,500 square feet, for $100,000.
I know.
And we can't even tear that.
Just to even start building. It's wild. So, everyone says it's going to be worth it in the end. We're hoping that's the case. But these are all costs. When we decided to say, yes, let's do that, we had no idea we were going to be incurring these costs. So when we get our budget from our contractor, it doesn't even include any of this stuff.
And just remember, we're in the business. We live in this real estate business all day, every day. But when you're building a house, we are learning new things every day. And we just thought we would pass them along to you because there are a lot of people that have asked us, even clients of ours that are like, hey, we were thinking about working with you to buy a house, but what do you think about building a house? And so far, I've told them, don't do it.
I say the same thing. Anytime someone asks, I'm like, don't do it. It's such a headache.
Oh, man. Good luck to you all if you're going to do what we're doing.